up here then. Willie Preston, P.J.K. Kading, Eric France, and Adele Regis, and Paul Nolly from District 16. The first guys are from District 2. And Jesse Jackson Jr. They're all here. So come on up, guys, and have a seat. All ready? Okay.
Welcome, everyone. I'm not sitting at your side, so I'm not going to be able to tell who anybody is probably, but we are going to, this time I'm going to actually, testing, can you hear it? This time I'm going to actually honor the random rotation of starting, if we can. So the person sitting fourth from the left will go first. I didn't do it. Your guess is as good as me. Yeah. That's yep.
Stage left?
I think yeah. So stage left. Okay. And then we're going to rotate clockwise as we go question to question. So it should be. It's a little.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
I guess I am fourth from the left. Also known as Eric France. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here in Livingston County tonight. In case they didn't tell you, Livingston County does matter. All of it. To all of us. It is not just about the county and the state anymore. Having said that, my background comes from the private sector mostly. I've worked in and around government my entire life, consulting government and seeing what's going wrong. And at a certain time, you get tired of sitting on the couch yelling at the TV, and you have to show up. So I'm here. I have the prerequisite experience as a land developer and a management consultant over the years. I am equipped and ready to fight these problems on day one. For many years, we suffered from disinvestment in this community, in the entire second district. One of the paramount problems that goes from one end of the district to the other is economic development. It's missing, and that's what's going to bring everything together. If you tie one thing back to everything, that is the one commonality, whether you're at 43rd Street in Chicago, or whether you're in Livingston County, or you're in Danville or Rantoul, you will find the same thing. That having been said, it is a pleasure once again to be here tonight. Thank you for inviting me. And I look forward to this forum. Thank you.
I think what we'll do is something a little different. Good, yeah, each one of you, if you would introduce yourself and give us just a brief opening statement like that, give everybody the same opportunity, and I'll let you rotate the choice, and then we'll start with the questions.
Which way do you want me to go?
Sorry. I didn't mean to appear too eager. Hi, my name is Patrick Keating. I'm from Flossmoor, Illinois. I'm 59 years old. I've lived in this district for 50 of those years. I don't have a lot of connections to Livingston County, but I would thank you for welcoming me. My mother's mother is from Streeter. They were the Mertises, but I never made it to the family reunion, so my bad, I'm sorry. I certainly wish I could have said that now. I've been a private practice attorney. Like I said, I was only not living in this district, and of course I realize y'all are relatively new to the 2nd Congressional District. I went away to Princeton to study political philosophy and history. I'm not one of those people. My father was a high school dropout who joined the Chicago Police Department, so I was very fortunate to get a very expensive education. I went to Notre Dame Law School, and I've been in private practice of law for 34 years, representing everything from individuals against the red light camera companies in Chicago to giant Fortune 50 companies. So like Mr. France, I have 34 years of private practice experience. There are a lot of reasons I'm running, but the main reason I'm running is to change the tone in Washington, D.C. One of the problems, there was a question about what's the problem with the Democratic Party. I think there are a lot of problems. I think one of them is that Donald Trump is the leader of the Democratic Party. We are responding to him. We are matching his terrible energy, and I think that needs to change. As a trial lawyer, I have had to go years against people who are not my enemies, they are my opponents. And at the end of the day, I've had to work out a deal and shake hands with them. I think that's the way to go. So again, my name is Patrick Keating. You can do hashtag VotePJK or votepjk.com, and I would appreciate your support. And thanks for having me today.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Nolly. I have it a little bit easier tonight because I am the only candidate. I am your nominee if you live in the 16th district. I am the Democratic nominee that's going against Chairman. So real briefly, guys, I am from the Rockford area. I'm a lifelong resident of that area outside of living in Bloomington Normal for about 5 years. I come from a working class family, and I've spent my career in faith-based and community organizations, uplifting and serving low-income and working-class people. And I've done that for about 15 years through all sorts of organizations like United Way, Habitat for Humanity. And what I've done for the last 6 years is I go in a 9-county area and I talk to young people about the blue-collar apprenticeships in the trades, construction and building trades, and I get them into those programs so they can live a good life, have a pension, a living wage, and all that. I have 2 young kids. My wife and I have been together since high school. I'm a family man, and I've never wanted to run for office until the first couple months of this administration and what's going on, because not only of all the stuff that we see on TV that's going on every day that I don't need to mention, but the working class has been hit for decade after decade, and neither party has stood up and put the fight that was necessary to bring them back to our coalition. Stop niggling around the edges and pass bold policies that are going to tangibly and quickly improve the lives of working people across this country. And so that's what I'm going to do, to be an aggressive fighter for working people, to strengthen the labor movement, and to kick the people that are in there corrupting the system day after day, to kick them the hell out and put them in jail. That's what I'm going to do.
My name is Jesse Jackson Jr., former United States Representative of the 2nd Congressional District of Illinois. I served in the House of Representatives for 17 years. I'm responsible for bringing almost $1 billion home to the 2nd Congressional District. In addition to that, if elected to Congress, after having been recruited by more than a dozen members of Congress, including Congressman Danny Davis and Congressman Bobby Rush, and after having taken 8 months from Tilton to Rantoul, to Danville, all the way up to South Shore, spending time with constituents in the 2nd Congressional District, I've been asked to consider running for office again. In large measure because the 17 years that I've gained in seniority in the House of Representatives is preserved, which means I go to Congress, if re-elected, as the most senior Democrat and Republican in the state of Illinois, making me the Dean of the Illinois Congressional Delegation. And so I want to take the fight to Donald Trump. I want to do it on behalf of the people of not just downstate and upstate. In fact, I think that the division between what's going on in the northern part of the 2nd Congressional District and the southern part of the 2nd Congressional District is remediable. We can move this district from racial battleground to economic common ground and on to moral higher ground. I know how to do that, and I'd like the opportunity and the chance to do that for the people of Livingston. Thank you very much.
Well, first and foremost, thank you all for having us, Livingston County Democrats. I am State Senator Willie Preston. I currently chair a couple of committees in the State Senate, the Consumer Protection Committee, as well as the Senate Black Caucus. You know, I'm going to tell you what I've told people on the south side of Chicago, in the south suburbs, and in central Illinois. I was not supposed to be a politician. My family wasn't involved in politics. We didn't have money. I started my career as a janitor. And as a family man with a wife and 6 children, it seemed like every time I came home, my wife was pregnant again. And so I went back out the door and found another job. So I've worked every job known to man. I've been a butcher. I've worked overnight at Home Depot. Ultimately, I became a carpenter and started a small remodeling business with my wife. Then I ran for office. And I got my butt kicked really bad. Nobody knew me. I didn't have any money. I wasn't connected to politics. But I dusted myself off and kept working inside of my community. And then a couple of years later, I ran for a larger office, State Senate. And even though I was outspent 30-1, every single colleague of mine today every state senator in the state of Illinois endorsed the other guy because he was connected. We won that election by nearly 10%. How did we do it? I didn't do it because I was recruited by anybody but the people. And I'm asking you all to recruit me now to be the next congressman. Why? Because I have an economic vision that you all already gave me. It's too much of the consultants telling figureheads what you believe, what you need to hear. I'm going to tell you exactly what you've already told me. You want somebody that's going to be honest with you. You want somebody that's going to tell you things that you may not want to hear or necessarily agree with. That's who I am. I'm fighting to make sure that you have an honest politician that's fighting for your children's future so they can stay in Livingston County if they choose to. And we're going to do that by bringing trade schools so we can build not just buildings, not just stadiums, go Bears, shameless plug, but the next generation of carpenters, plumbers, electricians have to come from Livingston County, have to come from Cook County, have to come from the south side of Chicago. And so I've done this work. I've appropriated millions of dollars. I'm currently building schools inside of my Senate district. I'm building a new grocery store. We're going to do infrastructure projects. And I'll tell you, as of right now, there are 277 members of Congress today. There were former state senators and former state representatives. There's a reason. Because we legislate and appropriate, and that's what your next congressman is going to have to be good at. And I'll close with this. In Illinois, we have the supermajority in the Democratic Party in the state Senate, in the state, and the House, as well as all the constitutional offices. But I'm proud to say I am the most bipartisan lawmaker in the state of Illinois. And the reason why that matters is because when you get to Congress, it's a little different in the state of Illinois. This country is split 50-50, and that's healthy. And I went across the aisle in the state Senate to build relationships, to get things done bipartisanly. I'm going to take that same attitude to Congress. Because at the end of the day, there are no Republicans or no Democrats that are failing to get Medicare, only Americans. And I'm going to fight for Americans as a proud Democrat, if you all will have me. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dal Regis. I am running for the United States Congress, looking to replace my former boss, Congressman Robert Kelly, who, as you know, is now running for the U.S. Senate. Let me tell you, brief and simple, why I'm running. I recognize that right now, people are suffering, and there's not enough conversations about that right now. And while when we turn on TV, we see the current administration trying to divide us across racial lines, okay? A lot of us are trying to figure out right now, how are we going to A, subsidize a family member for their health insurance that they might lose at the end of the year? Or B, if that might be you, that might be impacted. We're talking about Medicaid and Medicare. Not knowing how you might essentially be having to choose between paying your medical bills or keeping light running. There's not enough conversation talking about the fact that people are running, and some of us in this room are strapped for cash right now, figuring out how to make ends meet. And I use my mother as an example. She's a widow with 5 kids. If she loses her health insurance, we're going to make sure she's all right, because we're going to ship it out of pocket. But not everybody has that support system. And it's time that we get back to the basics and talk about the fact that if you're going to have to support a family member, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your auntie out of pocket, that's your retirement money. That's your grocery money, and that's your investment money. We need to start talking about the issues that's impacting the average Americans right now. And let's be real. The current administration, led by Donald Duck, passed a so-called big, beautiful bill that's only beautiful for a small percentage of people while the rest of us are getting screwed in the process. If you're not making $450K or more, you're screwed. I don't make $450K. So they're giving each other tax breaks while they're taking away things that money we've put into the system. Taxes you work your whole life paying into, and suddenly they're going out there trying to divide us on racial lines. Hey, look, immigration is an issue, and meanwhile they're taking from us what we've been putting into the system. I don't even know by the time we get to me whether or not there'll be money in the pension left for me. So I'm stepping up. I want to fight for you just like I did when I represented Robin Kelly as a district representative, making sure that millions of dollars were coming into the district by making sure that municipalities were actually applying for those federal funds to be able to navigate the next year to come. Again, my name is Adal Regis. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dan. So what we're going to do now is similar to what we did with round one. There'll be a few questions. Your timekeeper will give you a yellow when there's 30 seconds left, or red when you run out of time. With each question, we'll rotate my direction with who starts on it and work our way through the panel. I think this question then would go to Mr. Keating first. With mass shootings and political violence on the rise, how do you propose to keep kids safe, protect yourself, and ensure we all keep our rights to our First Amendment protections? You have 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is exactly my concern. It was from what happened in Minneapolis to the Charlie Kirk shooting, which was somebody else on the other spectrum. The violence is to me absolutely unacceptable. And I think that the way there is to fix the tone. We have to turn it down. I posted on my Facebook campaign page that I was coming here tonight. And some people said, great, well, we're going to come. And then a lot of people, online warriors, simply went at it and said, Democrats and things like that. Our system is failing. Our algorithms are dividing us. Our primary system and our gerrymandering is dividing us, and I think we just have to start talking in the middle. In terms of violence, we have to assume that the local authorities are going to take it. Violent crime is primarily a local problem. But what the U.S. government can do is provide actual resources, not randomize people, but use its DEA and its FBI resources and prosecuting gang violence through the federal system and take some of the burden off of our state and local government and let our community services and churches step up as well.
Okay, thank you. Same question. With mass shootings and political violence on the rise, how do you propose to keep kids safe, protect yourself, and ensure we all keep our rights to First Amendment protections? 60 seconds.
To me, it's clear that we have a sickness in our society, and not just from the mass shootings in schools to the shootings in our urban centers to the shootings of our own federal government against protesters and people in the street. We see a group of people out there, especially young people, that have very little faith in their future and the ability to have a good life. And where does that lead us? It leads us to more violence. It leads us to the separation that we're seeing politically, socially, economically. It leads us to all sorts of roads that go to terrible places. And we are seeing where we're at in the country. It's probably worse than it ever has been, perhaps since the Civil War. So we need to enact policies and have people that are going to fight for those policies that actually lift people up and don't let them go into despair and despondency and where they want to attack people. And then just to finally address what's going on with the federal government and murdering people in the streets, we have to put a check on that, we have to eliminate that, and we have to put those people who are doing that into jail.
Thank you. This is your opportunity, With mass shootings and political violence on the rise, how do you propose to keep kids safe, protect yourself, and ensure we all keep our rights to First Amendment protection? 60 seconds.
Yes. Firstly, it might be important for me to mention I'm actually the founder of a mentorship program for at-risk youth, and it's been running for 10 years. Why? We figured it was important to provide support. It takes a village sometimes to help some of our more underserved communities. And so I believe, number one of the ways that we address the issues is by providing some community support to some of the folks that are more likely might be in a position actually to be perpetrators of mass shooting. But number two, they're taking away funding right now from SNAP benefits. And there are people who are going to essentially have to get desperate to feed their families, and I believe that's going to be adding, unfortunately, into the shootings that are happening. So number one, we got to speak for restoration of those funds. Because a lot of our population, vulnerable population right now, they're about to have less resources, they're about to get desperate. Unfortunately, crime is about to go up. So I'm proposing, number one, that we fight for the restoration of those funds. Number two, take a more comprehensive action, okay, to address mass shooting, including doing background checks on guns, okay. I'm all for the second amendment, but we gotta make sure that people when they're writing in their heads are actually carrying, and not just somebody who's essentially going through a mental breakdown, wakes up one day and putting our kids at risk. So I want to address background checks for guns, but also making sure there are resources coming in to address our at-risk youth. to ensure that they have a leg up and not having to get desperate and do something stupid. Thank you.
With mass shootings and political violence on the rise, how do you propose to keep kids safe, protect yourself, and ensure we all keep our rights to First Amendment protections? 60 seconds.
Thank you. You know, I think I'm the only person on this stage and in this race that's actually been shot. I've been stabbed. I know what violence really is, and I know how it physically and psychologically feels. So thank you for this question. We found out through science some years back that smoking was bad for your health. We created a syntax to address it. We can do this legislatively by looking at the gun manufacturers who are benefiting the most from the proliferation of guns in America and make sure that we charge them as well. But I agree with my counterpart here. When people are suffering, when they're poor and when they're desperate and they don't know what they're going to put in their bellies, they make irrational decisions. In this nation, we are known for mass shooting. It has to end. And so I have already started this work as a state senator with digital age verification. We have to make sure that what's coming into our children's minds through these phones and these tablets are not poisoning them and making them desperate. And our children have the highest suicide rates and they have the greatest access to guns. We have to do something about that. I have the legislation to do it.
Thank you.
Let me take something off the table as quickly as I possibly can. I'm not worried about my own security. I didn't travel here with security. In the 17 years that I served in Congress, I've never had security, so I'm not afraid of what I do. It comes with the job. I don't need a security guard. I don't need an entourage. That's not the way I roll. I roll solo. I want to make this point about gun violence. The tone starts at the top. When the President of the United States can say, I want you to arrest these people and I don't give a damn if you hit their head up against the car. When Kristi Noem can say, what we saw on television, we did not see, that Ms. Good tried to drive her car willingly after having dropped her own children off at a school, that somehow she was aiming her car intentionally to hurt an ICE agent and she deserved to be shot in the face multiple times. The tone at the top, when the President of the United States might even consider pardoning Derek Chauvin, who had his knee on the neck of George Floyd, and we all watched it. We need to harden the schools, and we must not accept that the schools in their current conditions cannot be hardened. And that requires a federal government and federal grants to local school districts to harden schools. But it also means more money invested in the mental health, not only of our students, but also of our communities. Because, as Brother Regis said, a lot of people are suffering, and you can't see the suffering. In fact, I think it was Michael Harrington who said, America has the best addressed poverty in the world. In fact, it may even have the most disguised suffering in the world. You don't have any idea what your neighbor is going through, and we need to start with something basic as the principle of loving our neighbors as ourselves and paying respect to them, speaking to them, saying hello to them, and embracing them. As your congressman, I'd like to set a new tone, not only in the district, but also in Washington, D.C.
Thank you. Mr. France, need your question?
I assume it's the same question.
Yes, it is.
So let me start with this. I agree with every one of these panelists up here on this matter, but let's go back to the root of this. In the 60s and the 70s, we worked hard to bring mental health care to the communities. In the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, we did everything to remove it. This is a mental health care issue, and it doesn't only follow us in the street, but it follows us to the White House and into Washington with the decisions that are getting made. Until we restore it up front to make sure that people have somewhere to go and some better choices to make, it is going to affect us in every aspect. When you have people who are homeless and can't get mental health care, they remain homeless. When you have people who are desperate and can't get mental health care, they remain desperate. When you have people in Washington making decisions who are ill-equipped, mentally to make them and tell you see what you don't see, or you don't see what you do see. That is a problem that we got to deal with up front. But we can't let the people continue to suffer. We got to restore mental health care along with regular health care. We need to bring the facilities back to the people who need them the most. And this in itself will not touch our rights to carry arms if we need them, if we so choose that we do. But we'll be in a better position to make better choices. And that's where we want to leave people, is in a position to make better choices. So bring back the funding, bring back the resources, and put them where they belong, back in the communities.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to slide in a couple of questions from the audience. The first one is a lightning round, so it's a yes/no answer. We're going to give you a chance to make the shortest speech of your career, probably. With possibly an easy question. Mr. Nolly, do you support Medicare for all?
Yes.
No. Same question for everybody, because we're going down the line.
My answer, unfortunately, is no. There's no way to get there under the current system.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do you support Medicare for all?
Yes. There's no reason why people in Europe can get Medicare that we can't, and we keep funding Europe. Medicare for all.
Mr. Jackson.
I support the constitutional right to health care of equal high quality for every American. An amendment to the Constitution that would guarantee such. Yes, Medicare for all. But the problem, of course, is Democrats might fund it, Republicans might not fund it, Republicans might fund it, Democrats might not fund it. Health care in the United States of America must be a human right, and it must be added to the Constitution. Between 2001 and 2012, I fought to make it a constitutional right.
Thank you.
Excuse my French. Hell yes. There is no way in good conscience that I have good health insurance as a state senator. And trust me, I know what it's like to not have it. Again, I started off as a janitor. I did tell you all, I started off really with a snowball stand. Me and my wife, I was an entrepreneur. And I'll tell you, there are too many people in this country that are trying to figure out how to stay alive in this greatest, richest, most resource nation in the world. And so anybody, in my opinion, with all due respect, Patrick, if anyone in this country is standing up and saying no to Medicare for all, it's disqualifying to me.
Thank you.
My short answer is yes, and naturally because I believe health is wealth. And the reality of it is simple. A healthy society is a productive one. And anybody here that knows if you get sick on the job and then you got your mortgage to pay, you know what happens next, the stress that comes in when you got to take a day off. So yes, not only am I for Medicare for all, but being that right now we're seeing a wealth inequity gap in this country, we're having more billionaires while the rest of us are getting poor, if you will, we know where to get the money from now to be able to make sure we support the system. So yes.
Yes, thank you. Last question in this round, 30 seconds. Why should we vote for you? Why are you the man for the job? Mr. Reeves, concur.
Yes. My job, I worked for Congress for 4.5 years, for 2 members of Congress. The first one, her name was Nita Lowey. She was the second most powerful congressperson who made sure that she tracked federal dollars from what we call the Chair of Appropriations Committee. The second person is Robin Kelly. And my job for Robin was to make sure federal dollars was coming into communities, municipalities, nonprofit organizations to keep them running. Being that in the next 2 years, funding might be uncertain, considering that Donald Duck and the governor are beefing, it's important for us to be ready to know how to track the federal dollars and walk through the organizations to be able to apply for them, but not only apply for these federal dollars to navigate some of the drought that we might be experiencing, but also start incentivizing collaboration between organizations and municipal government to apply for those money together instead of applying for that funding separately, increasing their chances to be able to get the money, again, to navigate the next years to come. Thank you.
If I may, don't vote for me because I have a famous name. Don't vote for me because a bunch of rich people gave me campaign money and told me to go work for them. Don't vote for me. Vote for you. Vote for your family. Vote for your parents. Vote for your children, your grandchildren. Vote for healthcare. Vote for new hospitals being built, new trade schools being built. And if that's what you believe in, then yes, go in the ballot box and punch for Senator Willie Preston. Because I'm not just a typical politician. I'm a fighter. And I'm going to fight for your family as hard as I'm fighting for mine. Thank you.
Vote for me because of my life experiences. I know what it means to be a member of Congress. I served it for 17 years. I also know what it means to serve 30 months in a federal prison. I also know what it means to be broken, and then to stand up and decide to fight again for people who cannot fight for themselves. Vote for me because I know that the 2nd Congressional District needs to thrive and it needs prosperity. And I worked with Jim Edgar, George Ryan, Rob Blagojevich, and Patrick Quinn, not far from here, to build a new airport, land of which we own. The 2nd Congressional District owns the land of the inaugural footprint. 15,000 construction jobs if Governor Pritzker turns the land over to the communities that purchased the land, and it will connect this district nonstop to Hong Kong, nonstop to Paris, nonstop to France, nonstop to Germany, nonstop to Africa, nonstop to Johannesburg. It is important that this district be connected to the global economy, both in the blue part and in the red part, and presently it is not. I'm running to bring the global economy to the 2nd Congressional District, which has evaded us for too long. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. I'm number 5 on the ballot. Vote Jackson for Congress. Thank you.
So why me? I am not the politician. I'm actually somebody that gets things done because that's how I earn my living. It does not take me 30 years to do anything. We've had more than 30 years of disinvestment. A lot of the problems that we have are because of Donald Trump, but we can't blame him for that because he hasn't been around for 30 years. We've had several failures over several years because we have not had the people with the expertise to change these problems. Not everyone knows how to do economic development. Not everyone can build more than 2,000 units of affordable housing, just in Illinois alone, let alone around the country. Not everyone can do job creation. Not everybody can raise money for education. But these are things that I do on a daily basis in my regular life and continue to do. We need someone who can hit the ground, know where the money is, and bring it home. No one has been bringing the money home at these levels to do any of these things that we talked about. We are losing. I agree with Jesse. We need an airport. We needed it 30 years ago. But what I will say is every year that we do not have it, we are losing $1 billion a year in revenue. That's right, $1 billion a year that could go in this district and developing from the north end all the way to the south end, building economic development. That is the indicators just that we had as when the O'Hare Airport was built. There was nothing in Rosemont. Nothing at all. Now look at it.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of economic development, that's really the most important thing, because the best way to afford anything is to have a great job. And the biggest crisis we are facing has to do with energy. The data centers are going to be requiring twice as much energy. And in 15 years, when energy prices have skyrocketed because of the big tech, we are going to be in desperate trouble. I've researched this with my friends at Wall Street, and this area, the southern half of the district, can become an energy supercenter with clean nuclear energy, which is what the Illinois legislature recently allowed. Again, small modular reactors. They should be along the I-55 and I-57 corridors. I've got a real plan. I can make phone calls on day one with some of the top real estate people in the world to start getting this done. I'm talking tens of billions of dollars of private economic development. I'm talking about baking more pies, not looking for slightly larger slices of a single federal pie. The other reason that you should vote for me is that, unfortunately, I will tell you what you need to hear about things like Medicare for All, not what you want to hear. In terms of, but here's the thing I think most voters want to know from their candidates. They want to know that everything's going to be okay. And as bad as things look right now, as dark as it looks right now, things are going to be okay. Our courts and our military are going to hold, and anybody who's running for the next Congress needs to be focused on building a bridge to the future, not coming up with slogans that sound good in a room like this. Please look up hashtag VotePJK on your phone and learn more about me, and I'd appreciate your support. Patrick Keating. Also, Patrick on March 17th on St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you.
So the voters of the 16th Congressional District, you're going to pick one of two candidates when you go to vote in November. You're going to pick between a guy who has been handed everything, who's following in his daddy's footsteps, and has voted to cut your health care, has voted against veterans who have Agent Orange like my father, have voted against everything that's in your interest in order to stay in line with this president and keep his job. Or you're going to have a choice of voting someone like me, who's from a working class family, who has made his whole career about serving children, low income and working class families, union workers, and is now running to put regular people first. Those are your options, and I encourage you to vote for Paul Nolly in the 16th Congressional District. Thank you.
So they tell me we're not ready to let you go yet, so I think you get one more question. It's a quick one. We're only going to give you 30 seconds to do it, and I believe Mr. Preston would be up next, I think, or first on this. This is your opportunity. If there was one question you wish we had asked you, what is it and what's your answer?
If you could have asked me what I admire the most about this particular district, am I going to answer the question too? What I love about this district is why I've sloganed it and titled it, sorry Patrick, but this is the most American district in America. This district starts from 43rd Street on the south side of Chicago, hovers all the way down to Vermilion County in central Illinois, where I launched my campaign intentionally. We have big city, we have suburban light, and we have rural America. That's America. And I admire that so much, and I marvel at the prospect of actually being able to represent a district as diverse and as important as this one.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jackson, I work this way. What is one question you wish we had asked you and your answer?
I wish you would have asked me a question about the connection to the global economy. There are 3 people for every 1 job in the 2nd Congressional District from 43rd Street all the way to Tilton, Illinois. On the north side of Chicago, there are 3 jobs for every 1 person. It's a giant sucking sound. And that's why the mayor of Tilton, Illinois lost 50 UPS jobs to Rockford, to Champaign-Urbana. Each of these jobs are $100,000 a year. That's $5 million from 50 different people who are no longer paying their mortgages. It's the same problem in Harvey and in Sullivan City, the same problem in Markham and Dixmoor, in the black side, if you will, of the congressional district. But if we build a 10,000-foot Code F runway between the red and the blue, those on the southern end of the runway will experience more than 15,000 jobs as well as those on the north. Imagine that, a 15,000 job project less than 60 miles from where we are right now. That changes the ball game. That's thousands of families with health care. That's hope. And that has to be our central message. It's not the Democratic Party talking points that come out of Washington and come off of the polling. It's the local economy. We are not downtown Chicago. We are not the north side of Chicago. We are the south side and the south suburbs, and we need to grow together.
Thank you. Same question. One question.
I wish you would have asked me why we continue to not take care of home first, to take care of everybody else in this world. Tonight in the 2nd District alone, 126,000 people will go to sleep living below the poverty line. Now, that doesn't mean that the rest of us who are not below the poverty line are doing great. What are we doing to fill this economy and get rid of homelessness so that everyone can achieve the American dream? Everyone ought to be able to own a home, but we're sending $40 billion to Argentina and having people be homeless and wondering about building another shelter. I I wish you would have asked me that, because you shouldn't build another shelter. What you need to be building is supportive housing for them, to get them off the streets and get them back being productive members in this economy that we're getting ready to grow. And then we will all be happy.
Thank you. Mr. Keating, one question you will do that.
I wish you would have asked me, why would somebody step away from a successful law practice and put themselves in these uncomfortable spotlights? And the reason is because we don't talk about a couple of things. This district, and again, y'all are relatively new to this district ranks 380 out of 435 in median income. We're in the bottom 13%. And this Congress, the Congress we are talking about, has an approval rating of 16 or 17% because people are hating on each other. They are reflecting Donald Trump's energy. They are not deflecting it. We need to start a new political reality that is closer to the heart and that is more about love than hate. And it's incumbent upon the Democratic Party, especially in a wide open primary like this, where we don't have to pick between just far left and far right. We can make a choice to do better and be better.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the question I would like to have asked in these type of forums is, why is it that our economic growth as a country has been skyrocketing, but low-income and working-class people are struggling harder than they ever have? Why is that? And why is there so much money for politics and corporate PAC donations, but people struggle to get medical treatment, people study to have a good public education, struggle to get a good public education, and so on? Because those questions are not asked and answered in these type of forums very often, and they should be, because that is at the heart of our country's problems.
Well, the question I would want to be asked is, why do I care? Why does any of us care? A wise person once told me, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And let me tell you something, I see every one of you in this room. This feels like a sacrifice. It almost feels like we're getting drafted right now because this is unprecedented time and everything is at the line right now. I care because not only did we touch on the fact that they're getting ready to cut off on Medicaid and Medicare, things you put money into, but I don't even know the uncertainties that the future right now, what right now is out front of us, like for me, for my nieces, for my nephews. Essentially, if everything we sacrificed for to be at this point today, if we're going to be able to hold the republic. And so I care, I see every single one of you, and I want you to know, whether you vote for me or not, if I'm your next congressperson, you number one, get my commitment to keep coming in the Pontiac the same way I used to do for Congresswoman Kelly when she was sending me to Danville and to Kankakee to hear the concerns. And number two, I hope that I leave the room removing any doubt that you have a fighter in me for you in Washington, D.C. That's the question I would ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your answers.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gonna do a little stage management here again. Thank you. It's good to hear these views, isn't it? Kind of democracy in action, huh?